The decentralization process in Cameroon, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, signed Decree number 2020/547 of September 7, 2020, convening electors for the election of regional councillors to take place in the headquarters of all divisions on Sunday, December 6, 2020. The regional councils will play a major part in the decentralization process as the deciding organ between the state and the local councils. The government, following the directives of the head of state, will be able to implement the special status and other recommendations made during the major national dialogue for the speedy return to normalcy in the respective northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. However, armed separatists on Friday began imposing a 4-day lockdown in Cameroon's two troubled English-speaking regions of northwest and southwest to disrupt the pioneer regional elections scheduled for Sunday. Observers believe the outcome of the election will still not resolve the 4-year-old crisis, while many also think it is worth giving a try. Besides, if you want to rule your own nation, you must demonstrate leadership at your own local level. Stay with us. This is a Pan-African debate. Hello, thanks for joining us this day. It's on your Pan-African television, Afrique Media. We're pleased to have you on this edition of the Pan-African debate, where we're discussing issues and events and happenings around the continent. And today we're taking interest in Cameroon, which is preparing for pioneer regional elections tomorrow, Sunday, the 6th of December. And this is one of the recommendations out of the major national dialogue which took place in 2019 in the country, with hopes of putting to an end the long-standing crisis in Cameroon's two English-speaking regions. At the end of the elections, 90 regional councillors will be elected at the rate of 90 per region to complete the decentralization process. Will this actually put an end to the crisis in these two regions is what we shall be deliberating on this day on the program. The elections are coming at a time when separatists on their part are calling for a lockdown began since Friday. This is the Pan-African debate. We expect to hear from you during this edition of the program. We shall open our lines to know what you think. Leave your comments on our Facebook page. We'll have time to read them here. Welcome to the program. Before we come back to welcome our panelists on today's edition of the program, the Pan-African debate, let's have this report by Rita Moto. She did a follow-up on the situation in these two regions regarding the upcoming regional pioneer regional elections, and I'll put forward this report. Stay with us. Let's come back after that to welcome our guest on the program.
The pioneer session of regional elections is already at hand in Cameroon, following President Paul Biya's decree on September 7th. The indirect elections of December 6, 2020, in the 10 regions mark the president's firm will to reinforce the process of decentralization and enable citizens' participation in the management of public affairs. The scrutiny is equally aimed at promulgating the law on decentralized territorial collectivities, which preview a special status for the Northwest and Southwest regions, where a nearly 3-year-old insurgency has claimed over 3,000 lives. Emphasis on decentralization actually mark one of the recommendations of the major national dialogue of September 30 to October 4, 2019, in a view of providing solutions to the long-lasting Anglophone crisis. However, just as many Anglophones termed the major national dialogue a monologue, many still wonder the essence of regional elections when the two lone English Northwest and Southwest regions of the country are in a fragile state of restiveness. Years of resentment at perceived discrimination against Anglophones led to the declaration on October 1, 2017, of the self-described Republic of Ambazonia, triggering crackdown by authorities. The region's main political figures and political parties have called for an electoral boycott, just as they did for the twin legislative and municipal elections of February 2020. John Frundi, leader of a key opposition party, the Social Democratic Front (SDF), says he stands for a boycott. Likewise, Professor Maurice Kamto of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, as they insist that they are standing for a boycott unless there is a ceasefire in the restive regions. To Dr. Christopher Fomunyo, regional elections will have little or no impact on the Anglophone crisis. Meanwhile, separatists have called for lockdown beginning Saturday, December 5. It is not clear how the election of 180 councillors on Sunday will look like and of what influence it will have in resolving the 4-year-long Anglophone crisis after records of the Electoral Board show that only the ruling CPDM party candidates will take part in Anglophone Cameroon as a result of white boycott.
Thank you very much, Rita Moto, for that report. Looking at the situation in these two English-speaking regions, the crisis is still ongoing, and the hopes for regional council election to put an end to the crisis is what we're deliberating on this day, the Pan-African debate. Welcoming you once again to this edition of the program. Those of you on Facebook, leave your comments there, we shall read them here. And joining us this afternoon, we have Senior Barrister Ashu. Thanks for being here today. We're glad to have you.
Good afternoon, Big Ben. Good afternoon, Dr. Ngwanyam. Good afternoon, Kedia. Good afternoon, televiewers. It's a pleasure being with you. Hope we are going to enjoy ourselves.
Yes, surely we're going to enjoy certainly discussing on Cameroon. Joining us this day, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure to be with us again, and it's a very sensitive topic. We hope that we'll be able to navigate through it without causing any pain.
Certainly very sensitive topic. Equally, Kedia, Robert Kedia, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Greetings to my senior co-panelists and to all our viewers watching us at this moment.
Thank you very much. And we equally have on the other side on Zoom, joining us, it's Mr. John Akuroh. Thanks for being there. We hope to establish connections with you. John Akuroh, thanks for being there today on the program, the Pan-African Debate.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. Like I said, it's a pleasure always being part of this program. And a very quick greeting there to Dr. Nick Ngwanyam and Barrister Ashu. I hope we have the opportunity this day to, say our hearts, our minds, and try to, be on the right side of history for our people in the Cameroons, specifically in the Southern Cameroons. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for being there equally. We are going to be with you together right up to the end of the program. Now, we're discussing on the Pioneer Regional Election scheduled for tomorrow, Sunday, 6th of December, and this it's to complete the decentralization process. And will these elections put an end, or anyhow can it be one of the solutions to the 4-year-old crisis in these two English-speaking regions? Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel. Now, these are one of the recommendations of the major national dialogue. Regional council elections are taking place tomorrow, the 6th of December. Now, what are expectations? Are we hoping to see any changes on the ground after tomorrow's elections?
A point of correction, sir. It is not major national dialogue that instituted this thing. The Constitution provides that Cameroon, I think Article 2, Cameroon is a unitary decentralized state, and the institutions of the state are the councils and the regions. So I think it is in a bid to put in place the institutions of the state, of the unitary state, that these elections are being organized. You see, the decentralization law is really belated. It came in application of the constitutional provisions. So that thing really has to be put in its right perspective. It is not because of that major national dialogue. It is a constitutional provision that is being enforced. So coming back to your question, well, if we have to look at it in terms of those elections, which are welcome to complete the state institutions, whether they can help to bring an end to the Anglophone crisis, that one is another big question mark, which I think the answer is a clear no. It's a clear no. We all know it's no, because before even the elections can be organized, there is already lockdown that is being enforced. So you can imagine what will happen after. It's a clear no. Those elections, in terms of solving the Anglophone crisis, are purely cosmetic They are purely cosmetic. They have no effect at all. You see, they are going to put in place institutions that have nothing to do with the people's well-being, nothing to do with putting an end to an armed conflict which is raging on the field. So the government should look at something else and not count on those elections to solve the civil war.
And Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, the government intends to hand over leadership at the grassroots level. Now, do you think this will in any way solve this long-standing crisis in these two regions now? Those at the local level will be the ones to decide on certain things now. Should this be any way solve, or can it solve the crisis on the ground?
The decentralization as it is now is a good exercise, but that's not the panacea or the solution to the Anglophone problems. It's these elections are coming at a time when we have spent about 24 years, like Barrister was saying, this was in the Constitution for 24 years, and so it's after 24 years that we wake out of slumber to try to do something about it. So you see, the nation has a lot of problems. It's not just the Anglophone problems. You see, there are problems in the east of the country, problems in the north, problems even here, in the center, the south, and so on, problems with the youths and so on. So what I'm trying to say is that the nation has a lot of problems, and we really need to sit up and try to see how we address those problems. And the Anglophone problem is just one of the major problems that we have. But if we could already be honest to ourselves and really address the problems that are hurting the whole nation, then a lot of things will begin to fall in place. So we are doing something that is good, but probably we are not choosing the season properly. And as we were speaking, I can see, in my mind, I see 4 dates that are going to be very important in the state of Cameroon. I mean, in our country, Cameroon. Like I mentioned before, we have our Independence Day, whether it was 1960 or 1961, but we had an Independence Day. Then we have that famous day when President Paul Biya was talking during the Paris Peace conference with Mr. Mo Ibrahim. That's one of the most important dates because of the confession that he made. And then the third important day would be the day of the 6th, this decentralization thing. Because on this decentralization thing, when the people will be voted in place, it's not like it's the best of solutions, but at least it would give this East Cameroon part of the country a taste of self-governance, because they have never known what it is. So they will be taking their baby steps into something they have always talked about but not knowing what it is in self-governance. So it gives them an opportunity, because up until now, there are people who have been ruled by the SDO and the DO. Even when when somebody wants to make a baby with his wife in the house, he's got to take permission from the DO. So they will realize that there are a couple of things that you can do without going to the DO. And then the 4th and most important date will be when we will have the dialogue, because another dialogue must come to solve the Anglophone problem and many other problems in the country. The Anglophone problem will be solved by a properly done dialogue, because what we called a dialogue was a monologue.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nick. Now, Mr. Robert Kidia, now, the Pioneer Regional Council elections are scheduled to take place tomorrow. Now, how do you welcome these Pioneer elections?
It's a great thing, and we should be grateful that the voice of the people have been heard, and we are going to the final phase of effective decentralization. It was a process since 1996, and the various stages have been put in place, the Senate and the rest, and now we are going to the final stage of it. For us, for someone to say that it has nothing, then it shows that really there is a total bias in the perspective of view, because we can't say such an institution really has no effect. No, it will obviously have an effect. And with this institution that have been put in place, as Africans, we always say this, that we should be ready to construct institutions and make them powerful, and rather not than personalities. So if an institution is being put in place, we should accept that institution, let it be put in place, then we can empower that institution to do the will of the people. For instance, now we have the House of Chiefs, and we know how important the House of Chiefs have always been to us during the era of the colonialism, and so the House of Chiefs is there. And with this House of Chiefs, we should empower our chief. When we empower our chief will be able to protect our own interests. But when we pass our time calling our chiefs names that they fight, they sell and this and that, and discredit them, then it will not give them opportunity to fight for our interests. Even with the regional councillors that will be put in place, we should empower them. The problem we have is that we don't empower our leaders, and we make our leaders now vulnerable to take certain decisions to protect us. We need to empower our leaders, the people themselves. Look, for example, I'll talk about this crisis, this Anglophone crisis, as people are called. When chiefs came up, people discredit chiefs and call chiefs all type of names. The cardinal himself came up, the church. People discredit the church and call them all type of names. We have personalities that have come up to give their ideas on how the way forward. Still the same people have come out to discredit them and give them names. So what is the way forward? Who do we want to come up? Even if you say, okay, let's have a national dialogue, and you say you want to call those in the diaspora, there are people that will still come and discredit them, that these are people that went to Swiss, get money, these are people that after this, they have their self-interest. So we should first of all stop, look for a solution, for a way forward on how to do this. We should stop discrediting ourselves. When we stop this, then we'll look for a way forward. It's so sad for me. Some people will say the source of this problem is political. Others will give their own perspective. But for me, it's so sad to say that the problem that the Northwest and Southwest region are facing with the rest of the country is just because we have two cultures. And it's so sad that we are killing ourselves because of the white man culture, when we can empower our traditional rulers now and our institution to bring a harmonized Cameroonian culture, that the way will go forward. If we like, we'll keep on talking for the next 20 years or 50 years about this issue of these two cultures. If we don't think about harmonizing them, we'll actually have a great problem. The final phase of these elections are coming up, and we're in a democratic process. And most people keep on comparing African countries with maybe America, that has been in democracies for hundreds of years, and Europe. It's really a mistake. We should know that we have a young country, we have a young democracy. We should put the institution and empower them. Then I believe the problems we have will be solved. True, I know that it will have an effect to the crisis to change it. About dialogue, Cameroonians, we keep on dialoguing. We started dialoguing at the Fumban conference, and we've been dialoguing in the early 90s, and we will keep on dialoguing even when the problem will be solved and peace will return. We will keep on dialoguing as Cameroonians for the way forward to bring peace in our nation.
All right, Mr. Fah is in keeping with the desire to accelerate the decentralization process in Cameroon. Tomorrow, it's the final day. Regional council elections will be taking place. Welcome to the program.
Thanks very much,
Yeah.
Thanks to the level-headed panelists who are here present, and to the millions of televiewers who are watching us right away. Before coming in, tomorrow is the D-Day of the elections. I just got my co-panelist, Kedia Robert, surely from the ruling party, the CPDM, who talked about we should empower. And I begin to ask, who are those to empower? Now, you don't just get up one morning and you come to the TV and begin to say empower. When you talk about empower, they are modus operandis put in place by the state to determine whether an institution should be empowered or not. I don't think the population are the ones to empower the chiefs, or the regional chiefs, or the regional councillors. What does the constitution say? That's what we should be following. Now, let me keep that aside because it's blowing the trumpet for Yaoundé regime, which has expired already. Now, my main worry is here. I see distraction from Yaoundé, and I see people get so moved. Regional election. Nobody is taking time to ask, but what are the clauses surrounding the functioning of regional elections, be it at the level of regional councillors or the chiefs? Listen, we are no longer fools. That issue of election tomorrow is zero. Anybody, I repeat, anybody who sits and dreams and thinks that regional election will make a change in whether it's Cameroon or wherever, is a daydreamer of the first order. Because people have decided to put in place distraction. While people are dying on both sides, election comes in, and people are running after money to pick up elections and campaign in whatever. The regional election has no place as of now except settling the peace and security. Mr. Luis, I am telling them because they are watching us from Yaoundé, wherever they are in their offices, and they know what we're talking about. Anybody who tells you regional election has a place, that man is devil's advocate. I'm sorry to say so. Because you will not tell me, Keja tells me about House of Chiefs.
People went in for 2018.
You tell me about the House of Chiefs here. No. I am surprised that the chiefs who are vying in for the election and who have no power, because whatever they take, likewise the regional councillors, it will only be a suggestion. There is a rapporteur to be appointed by the head of state to take care of those regional issues. The governors will still be lords over the issue. I got Dr. Nick who said, he will try to change some things, because at least the people will try to feel that at least their voice can be heard. Doctor, that regional election, as you see, is a farce of the first order. Because even the administrative authorities and those that will be appointed to supervise will still be dancing the same Bafia dance as SDOs are dancing Bafia dance over the functioning of councils. Let no one come on air, no matter the propaganda, to tell lies that regional election come tomorrow, less than 24 hours, will make a change. A change where you make proposals and the head of state has a prerogative to decide whether to accept or not. Is that a house? At the end of it, we have commissions left and right. Bilingualism is there. Disarmament is there. They only make proposals and send to the head of state. Bilingualism has done theirs. They have sent. The presidency is sitting on them. Nothing has changed. We can only talk about regional houses when they have the power to decide things on their own without interference from the central government, whereas the supervisory authorities are actually there. On the other hand, when we look at the so-called quack regional election as they put it, yes, state budget is moving. I begin to ask myself, what will be the function of a regional councillor? When he will always sit in a place and then he makes proposals and say, we are thinking that Manu is not fine, let a road be constructed, and then the rapporteur in the place and the representative of the head of state have to collect what the proposal you have before taking over to Yaoundé. Yaoundé is not obliged to accept the proposals you are making. If we're talking about House of Chiefs as per se before then, before even the quagmire of the relationship between French-speaking Cameroon and English-speaking Cameroon, we know that the House of Chiefs were in a way that they could decide things and things happen on the spot without someone interfering and then being at their mercy as the Lord of Lords and King of Kings, who will be able to take your plea. And then when he takes it, people start rejubilating. Look at the amount of money disbursed for the regional elections for the chiefs. That is something enshrined in the Constitution. But it was disbursed at the nick of time with instruction. It looks as if it is a largesse from the head of state. People running in for election are supposed to have budget, subvention from the government to enable them go through. Okay. But if you see the way the thing is made, now President Paul Biya in Yaoundé becomes the Lord of Lords. As he puts it, the CPDM psycho fans come in and they blow a whole trumpet as if President Paul Biya has done what Napoleon left undone. So at the end of it, we are saying, because the millions of viewers are intelligent, no one should deceive you. I am coming back round 2. Regional election will not change a dime. It is a distraction of the first order while people keep dying, suffering, displaced in Nigeria, displaced in Douala and other like, and some have become thieves because they need to survive and they are hungry. Okay. A distraction, we are intelligent, regional election, just play your own fake game and go away. We are on board.
All right, Mr. Favis, thank you. Let's talk with you, John Akuroh from on Zoom. Now, regional council elections, the government says everything has been put in place for a successful pioneer regional council election to take place tomorrow, yet the separatists on their part called for a lockdown which began on Friday now. What has been happening on the other side? You're joining us from the United States.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think after listening to the co-panelists this far, honestly, I have to say here that we are virtually unanimous in our agreement and understanding that what is taking place tomorrow in the Cameroons is a charade. There is this statement that I like to, pick from French, and it says something very interesting. It says, plus ça change, plus ça reste la même chose. If you understand what this means, it means there is really no point thinking at any given moment that anything is changing, because there is so much motion, but we're remaining on the same place. I think it is fundamental to understand that when someone like Mr. Robert says we should give, some kind of empowerment to the chiefs, because he's referring to the House of Chiefs, I just want to heave a serious laugh. Do you know why chiefs and funds have lost the primordial place that they had in our society, in our communities? The reason is simple. They not only joined politics, but they became puppets of the administration. That is why you will see a divisional officer will have the audacity to address a first-class fund as he is my auxiliary, he is under me, I can give him instructions. And the chief would say nothing because they sold their birthrights. Do you remember when the Queen of England, would show respect to the funds of the grass fields, because they saw how the people virtually deified their leaders, their rulers. But all this is gone. With the advent of multi-party politics in 1990, and with Mr. Paul Biya struggling to hang on anything possible to stay in power, he virtually reduced every single force existing in the Cameroons to rubble. Because if you are not with us, you are against us. That mantra forced people, even against their wills, even against their beliefs, to become part of the CPDM. I know that even some of our people who are within that party are sitting there not because they actually believe in the ideologies of that party, are sitting there not because, but because they know that it is the only way of survival. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, my brother, is here. I listen to him, I feel him, I understand him. But if Dr. Nick Ngwanyam dares leave that CPDM today, I fear the taxation department will come all over the place with what is called redressement fiscal. They will create even taxes that have never existed and tell him he owes them. This is not being unfair to you, doctor, but it's just being truthful. It's just saying things as they are. Even at this moment that we are talking here, the fund of Nso, who just a few weeks back refused that he will not be escorted to his village by soldiers. He will want to go there as a free man. At this minute we are talking, he is on the way to Nso, this time escorted by 4 armored cars. He is going to Nso at a time when there is a lockdown. And why is there a lockdown? Because the people are agreeing with us that independence for the Southern Cameroons is the only way to save the soul of our country, which erroneously got into a dubious union, a dubious and uncertified union with La République du Cameroun, thinking that they were brothers and sisters with whom we could be able to forge a living. Look at what the forum saw, generally revered and loved by his people, has been reduced to. And they are escorting him there in this armored cars against his will, because he swore he didn't want to go back there in that manner. And after the so-called or the charade of elections tomorrow, he will be escorted back in the armored cars. So where will he be exercising his functions? In the so-called House of Chiefs. I call it House of Division, because the House of Chiefs has existed in the Southern Cameroons was one. We didn't have a House of Chiefs for the people of the Southwest, as they call it, and a House of Chiefs for the people of the Northwest. This is called a House of Division. Mr. Paul Biya is still trying to simply implement what he said in France, as Dr. Nick Ngwanyam mentioned, trying to see as much as possible how we need to be completely fragmented, broken and everything, so he can continue with his failed assimilation process. You talk to me about elections as a panacea. The head of state, Mr. Paul Biya, or whoever will come after him, according to the Constitution, still has the powers to appoint governors, to appoint GOs, to appoint SGOs. And then that's not all. He has the powers even to dissolve any regional assembly that is not aligning with the policies of the central administration. So what is the use of the existence of those bodies? Already he has a parliament there in Yaoundé, which is a rubber stamp. Did he need many other rubber stamps? What does he need stamps for? I mean, that is a king. He does things the way he wants. So when somebody even talks about this and even erroneously says it has or may have any bearing on the situation of the Southern Cameroons, I begin wondering whether someone is supplying you wheat. Sorry for using that expression. I say so simply because you should already have known by now. Christian Cardinal conducted a survey in that country under very difficult conditions. And the result of the survey was that 69% of the people don't want to have anything to do with La République du Cameroun. They said it was conducted in a very rudimentary manner. Less than a month ago, the Committee on Dialogue and Negotiations, or the Coalition on Dialogue and Negotiations, conducted another survey. And this time it was run by a very reputable New York-based organization known as SurveyMonkey. And the results were analyzed by another very reputable UK-based organization. 86% of the people of the Southern Cameroon still made it abundantly clear we want to have nothing to do with La République du Cameroun. And then, if you were doubting the results of those surveys, see what is happening on the territory today. They have told us that the armed groups have been reduced to their barest expression, meaning that they are no longer a threat, really. But we are seeing the people staying at home in Boya, in Kumba, in Bamenda, everywhere. The people have locked their houses and they're inside their houses, sending a message again to the world that they don't want to have anything to do with elections they consider colonial. So why should anybody at any time begin by bothering himself or herself to even try to attach any inkling of credibility to an election which will have no bearing on what is happening in our country, the Southern Cameroons? And you talk about a rapporteur, my brother Tayong Fah. Look, the rapporteur in the regional assemblies is the same like the federal inspector in the days of the Federal Union. The federal inspector appointed by Yaoundé had more powers than the elected prime minister of what was called at that time West Cameroon. And the prime minister and his government, I mean the whole government, with the federal assembly, that with the regional, the House of Assembly of the Southern Cameroons could take decisions, and the federal inspector will say this is not working. He could veto. So what are you talking about? Let me tell you, this issue of decentralization, or call it federation, it's not connected to the French culture. So take note. No matter what they do, it won't even work even in La République du Cameroun. Okay. So these cosmetic things really don't have any future at all in the Southern Cameroons. I think the problem we have in the Southern Cameroons today has more to do with those elite and those people who preposterously think that they can force our people to continue to validate their selfish desires to keep receiving crumbs from the table of La République du Cameroun. And I pardon them simply because I know they have never tasted freedom. They don't know what it looks like. That is why they are even afraid of it. That's why they are confused as to whether it will ever come. And so they wonder whether if that freedom comes, how would it look like? My dear brothers and sisters, to be very honest to you, that thing called election is a waste of time. It's a charade. It will have no bearing, not even in La République du Cameroun. There, I can guarantee you that.
All right. Thank you, John Akuroh. Now back to you, Senior Barrister Ashu. Now, the regional council election is aimed at giving particular autonomy to the northwest and southwest regions. Now, those who be elected in these regional councils are supposed to be Anglophones. The Anglophones certainly elites in these regions. Now, don't you think it's worth giving a try to see what their leadership will look like on the ground? Maybe to those clamoring for separation or federalism. Don't you think this should be a starting point? And we'll look at everything that's on the ground. We want a way out of the crisis. The solutions might not be automatic, but then regional council elections, should it be or be given a try?
Thank you, Big Bang. If you look at the law on decentralization, the decentralization code, you see that the entire council exercise concerns 15% of the national budget. 15%. When the councils will be in full blossom, they will manage 15% of the national budget. So I want you to understand, because you start asking those type of questions, you see, the putting in place of this thing will give people autonomy. In the whole country, when all the councils will be working in full blossom, they will control 15% of the national budget. Okay, there are 10 councils. Southern Cameroons has 2 out of 10. So 2 out of 15, 2%, 2, I don't know what percentage that is going to give. So that is the autonomy Southern Cameroon has to get out of the council budget. Are you mocking at who? Now, somebody talked of House of Chiefs. They have brought back House of Chiefs. My brother, did you spend your life in Kenya or some other country that is not this one? House of Chiefs in the days of Southern Cameroon was a senate. It was a senate. So you want to bring back a senate as a council chamber? What are you talking about? You are bringing back a senate as a council chamber. I even hear people talking about regional representatives. Please go back to that law. We don't have that in Southern Cameroon. They are talking of, they say the regional house is made of 2 houses. The House of Chiefs and the House of Divisional Representatives. Look at their terminology. Divisional representatives. You didn't have that in 1960. What are they bringing out? They brought back nothing. And the House of Chiefs, look, there is nothing special. They have the same prerogatives as the other regional houses. There are only 2 things different. One, they can give an opinion on the running of their house. An opinion. You know what that is? And they can give an opinion on matters of education. The opinion, like Fah said, can be accepted or can be rejected, can be put under a draw. So are you talking about autonomy in terms of an opinion, giving an opinion that has no effect whatsoever? Who are you mocking at? No, we should be serious here. You see, even in terms of an effect on the entire nation, this is a totally useless exercise. I want to agree with Mr. Fah, because the country says Cameroon is a unitary, decentralized state. What have these people, these CPDM people, put in place? They have put in place an over-centralized state in place of a decentralized state. So what they're trying to do now, they call it decentralization. Sorry. You have put in place a deconcentration process. You are trying to deconcentrate what you have centralized. You have over-centralized. You are taking away some of the powers from the central authority. And the maximum of that power is only 15%. So what autonomy are you talking of? What autonomy? When you keep 85% in the center and give out 15% to 10 regions, what are you doing? It has no effect. Even in terms of the entire nation, it is useless, because these people will control nothing. Then let's go now down to the field to see the effective control. Who heads the House of Chiefs? Who will head the House of Chiefs? It is the big man there in the region who will be the boss of House of Chiefs. It is not the chiefs. The chiefs cannot run their house. They cannot. They will elect chiefs, but they will be headed by the governor there. All the regional representatives, their own person there who will be the chief. Who will be the chief of the House of Chiefs. So what do you want? Are you giving or you are not giving? A council assembly. Look, because the real term for that thing is a council assembly. Where else in the world does this exist? A council assembly. What is the reason? What is the difference between a council sitting in a communal session and that House of Chiefs? What's the difference? It's a communal assembly. So why do you want to fool people with high-sounding words that have nothing to do? You want to replace a Senate with a communal assembly. Oh God. No, I think that these people should be serious. If they want to solve the problem, we all know what the problem is. Somebody made allusion, Dr. Nick here, made allusion to President Biya's statement before Mo Ibrahim. We have tried to assimilate these people and failed. And I keep clapping for Mr. Biya. I say yes, congratulations, because this man knows the problem. He did not just end there. The law on family code, which has sailed through the Senate, Article 114, he recognizes that there is Southern Cameroon. He recognizes it. Even in Boya, he said history will have it that Boya was the capital of Southern Cameroon. But these CPDM people, you people still, you are the ones denying that there is Southern Cameroon, when the president himself, on all occasions, says there is Southern Cameroon. But you keep denying. You keep denying. You give names. Northwest, Southwest. President says Southern Cameroon, but you say Northwest, Southwest. What is your problem? Now you say he's an old man, but the old man seems to be reasoning better than you people. I don't understand. Because he did not only just say Boya was capital of Southern Cameroon. He went ahead to say we tried to assimilate them and failed. And then not ending there. The definition of a Cameroonian, to be a Cameroonian, you must either originate from the Republic of Cameroon had its independence on the 1st of 1960, or from Southern Cameroon we had its independence on the 1st of October 1961. That is in the family code. So what is your problem, you CPDM people? You want to deny what even your own boss is accepting. So I think that we should face the facts. Your boss has accepted that there is Southern Cameroon. Why you would tell us how the Southern Cameroon hand over their sovereignty to you? How? We all know what you put in 1960, where your assembly enacted a constitution alone and put Southern Cameroon inside. So today we are asking that irregularity be corrected. And as my brother Dr. Nick says, we need another conference, this time between the two states, please. There is no dancing around. You cannot recognize in the family code that there are two states. Then you come and tell us that the whole nation should see that. Please be consequential. Call the two states that you have recognized in the definition of Cameroon, of Cameroonian nationality. Call them to sit on the table. Let us iron this thing out. We have to take a decision on the form of the state. What form should the state take? The institutions of the state. It is not a matter for one person. You, my brother, who has the same status as me, cannot give me a status. You cannot. Like if I was saying, it is a total sham. It's a total scamming status. I don't see one person who has said that nonsense. Even with you people, you cannot agree as to what you are calling.
They know that it's a sham.
It's a sham.
They know that they are just playing to the gallery.
So I think, Mr. Luis, you see, this is a thing that if we want this thing to end, we are all aware. You see, the government has been telling fat lies, minimizing the situation when we know that. You see, it's just like somebody has a big wound in his leg. Instead of going to the hospital to cure it, he takes a big trouser and covers it. The thing is getting rotten, and he is fooling people that know that he's fine. Eventually, they will have to cut off the leg. That is what is going to happen. If you see, because we have this situation where things are getting bad in the field, but they want to fool us. They say that the Amber Boys have reduced to small groups. But if Donald Trump's African Affairs advisor can say, we know that there are 670,000 active Amber Boys. So I don't know what answer do you have to that.
No.
It is not Ashu talking.
All right.
Donald Trump's special advisor on African Affairs.
Okay.
It's terrible. Please take this thing seriously. You cannot give a special status to people who have that type of army waiting for you.
All right.
If you want it to end, call them to the table.
All right, Senior Barrister, thank you. Now, let me talk with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Now, there's a need to resolve the crisis in these two English-speaking regions, which has led to the death of more than 3,000, displaced more than 1 million. Now, the government, in resolving this crisis, is proposing a kind of special status for these two regions, giving autonomy to this region. Now, how do you welcome it after listening to Senior Barrister Ashu?
Oh, thank you. Before I answer this specific question of yours, I'd like to just make a comment about what Mr. John Akuroh said in the U.S. To say that I think he was making allusion to the fact that people stay at home. People stay at home, and in respect of the ghost towns, not out of fear, but because they agree with what they are saying. No, it's not true. People stay at home out of fear. Okay, it's fear that keeping people at home. It's not, they are staying at home, it's not because they agree with your own position or they want to enforce your position. That's not true. Let's just get these things straight so that we don't keep, because when we mix up these things, we'll never find a solution. So let us agree once and for all that when they say ghost towns, it's not a democratic thing. It's somebody just dictating from there, and there are boys who will shoot at you at any time. Because even as I speak, being in Douala, on my phone I keep getting threats all the time from many people asking for this or that. So it's not, and if the fun of Saul is going along with military people to his village, it shows that there's no security. And if, for instance, what is the acid test to show that the place is secure and there is no problem? I would like somebody like the Minister of Territorial Administration or the Prime Minister to not drive, to just take his driver and just drive, through West Cameroon. Then it will be a good acid test that there's no problem. But if they themselves are going and they have armored cars all over the whole place, it means there is a problem. We should stop deceiving each other. We should look at the problems and solve them. I just wanted to make that point very clear. There's no security there. That said, let me come back to your question. Just refresh my mind, please.
Yeah, we're finding out now the two regions will be given a kind of special status. Now, the autonomy that they have is not going to be accorded to the other 8 regions. Now, don't you think it's a way forward, a kind of way towards solving the problem, because the solutions cannot be arrived at just like magic? It's a process, I think.
Let me say that I was a participant at the Major National Dialogue in Yaoundé, and that's why when I talk about it, what it was and how things turned out, I say it authoritatively because I was there. I didn't hear. That's not the way a dialogue is held. And then the other thing is, when the government came up with this thing called special status, that sometimes when a big man does something, you can't just challenge a big man up front. He can leave a window through which you can go through that window into the inner chambers and correct a couple of things. So when they talked about the special status, I was of the opinion that they were afraid to just say federation or confederation, okay, just to save face. And special status or federation or confederation would just be a name. You could still call it special status, but you take those things that would pass for a confederation and put it in that box. Are you getting what I'm saying? And it will still do the job that it was supposed to do. So I was one of those people, we were putting ideas together. What should be a special status? We actually compiled those things and send them to the Prime Minister. Though during the process of compiling it, we those of us who are true confederalists, we put in stuff. Then there were some people who were put in there by the Prime Minister who were pulling out stuff to make it as weak as possible. That's why in the special status now you see that the only thing that is standing is House of Chiefs, which has no meaning. Now, that said, the House of Chiefs, today the House of Chiefs is probably, what am I saying? House of Chiefs Confederation, special status, there's nothing to it. And so I would just say that what we have on the table now called special status or what does not really address the problems of the Anglophones. It does not. And if we really have any respect for our President, His Excellency President Paul Biya, then we would want to go and ask him, say, Papa, when you were talking to Mo Ibrahim, what exactly did you mean? Did you say those things, and were you okay when you were saying those things, or somebody pushed you to say them? If he says he was okay and he was in his right mind when he said those things, then I would encourage all Cameroonians to respect the president, because he looks like he says things and we don't do what exactly he is saying. But again, like I have said before, the unfortunate thing is that he is making this very important statement after the major national dialogue had held, you see. And the national dialogue was holding under a certain umbrella and aura of how do I put it, the ambient understanding and situation was, these Anglophones are our slaves, let's try to see how we can blindfold them and keep them where they are. Let's throw some bones at them and see what happens. It was not really meant to solve the problem as it is. So when the president says these people cannot be manhandled, let us see what we can do for them, he is saying, let us have another dialogue, let us give them some breathing space, and it is that breathing space that will be defined in the dialogue I said is coming. And before you take back the microphone, the president has been struggling a lot. One thing that we have to understand is we have to always take time off to study the characters of people and see how they do business. You know, President Paul Biya is someone who is he's not always upfront with things. He is a little bit laid back, and then he gathers some of these people and gives them power and say, look, we have these problems, can you help me manage the country? Because of course, it doesn't matter who you are. Even if you are Donald Trump, you cannot manage the country alone. So you need people to work with. But like we've said before, we have a problem of elites in this country. And I guess that's the problem with most elites in Africa. The elites don't work in the interest of the people, and the elites don't work in the interest of the president. The elites work in their own interest and do things for their own stomachs, where they take politics now as a source of food. And as long as it's a source of food, they always do everything that is possible for them to stay at the table to eat. So when the people are saying some things, they would go to the big man and tell the big man something else. When the big man asks for their advice, they will always give the kind of advice that allows them to stay at the table to eat. That is their problem. Their problem first is the stomach. And truth and love are not part of the deal. If truth and love were part of the deal, we would have been done with this thing a long time ago.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Nick. Now back to you, Robert Kenya. A lot of talks has been directed to you, but then before you maybe want to answer that, now when we look at these two regions, now the CPDM, it's largely not having any competitor in this race for the seats available for grabs. Now, what does that mean to the CPDM elites who are going in for the elections?
It's not only we don't only have CPDM that have least in the whole of Northwest and the Southwest region, but we should make it also clear that when there are people that have their political party and they went in for a presidential election and they could not have anything and they lost, and now that's why they will say the next election will be a total failure. Let people disrespect democratic process and constitutional processes that are available. But actually that's not it. That's not it. What's important is bringing back peace in the Northwest and in the Southwest region. And to bring out peace in the Northwest and Southwest region, everyone needs to sit, give a break, think again and reason more before we can actually move forward. The last time I watched a chairman of an opposition party, Nijon Fundi, when he said we need to stop things, re-strategize and move ahead. Because everyone come and talk and this one shouts CPDM has done this. Mr. Mbaku is abroad. He knows that even them abroad, the people are discrediting them. Even among themselves abroad, people are saying that forget about us in Europe. You people in Cameroon, you should do your things. They themselves, they know it. Traditional rulers are being discredited and called names. Political elites are being called names. Men of God are being called names. When you come with your opinion, they insult you. If you are from the CPDM, they say your political party is this or that. If you are from this sector, is that the way we want to build a nation? Everybody have become critics. Nobody think about what to give in so that we should go forward. Fine. The government has given its own. You call it cosmetic. What have the other part done to bring back peace? Holding of gun, constant killing. I would really want to make it. Dr. Nick already said it, and I will also say that the people of the Northwest actually is fear. It's not like they are respecting the people, they are respecting the other. No. And we've also seen threat that the Amba fighters have been given, and there are some things that have happened that we saw these guys coming out and actually being open to stand against villagers, standing against these Amba guys, attacking some of them. But actually, I'm not out here to talk about all this or to talk about political affiliation, but I just want to say we should look at the way forward. These institutions have been created, they are there, we empower it, I'll move forward. If the institutions are there, we take it, and we ask for more, I will move ahead. If we keep on criticizing, no, when something has been brought forward, accept the institution, empower it, and you go further. If, for instance, today we have a spatial status and we have our regions, and we say that they are head of councillors, and the House of Chief is not like the House of Senate that they were before, accept it, you empower it, and you move ahead. That is what we are supposed to do. Keep on criticizing. We had a grand national dialogue. Everybody say it was a total sham. But all of us here, we accept, and on our viewers, we accept that there will not be a grand national dialogue that will come out and everybody will be 100% happy. So we should be realistic when we are saying all these things, and we should put ahead. The grand national dialogue has there. Yes, its successes. Definitely. When we say that the grand national dialogue had no success, then I will say it's a total bias. When we say this regional election coming up has nothing to do, I say it is a total bias. All the things that have been put in place have their own effect that they will do for peace to return. We should always have good faith when we want to build our nation. Rather than being critics, we should also see how we can also give our own in. If the government have done this and we say it is cosmetic, and I ask now, the other people that will say that they want to separate, what have they done on their own part to ensure that the boat goes on smoothly? That's it. We are Cameroonians. In 50 years time, I will still be alive. In about 100 years time, none of us here will be alive. In various way, which is, I still repeat, one. The problem we have here, people say it is historic, but I don't see it that way. Some people will say it is political, I don't see it that way. The only suffering we are having here is that we have two cultures that we are having this problem. And the way forward is for us to harmonize things and move ahead. That's the only solution. And with the coming election, I still believe that the House of Chiefs has always have their influence, and they will keep on having their influence. And now they are having a house which is meant just for them chief. I think they will have more influence to do something good. But when we say they will have nothing to do, then that's bias. As we speak now, even without this House of Chiefs have influence with a lot they can do. If somebody say chiefs have no influence, then that person is totally dishonest. And when this house will be created, that will empower them the more. I believe that they will have more to do so that we can come out of this problem. But what is important is that those in the diaspora, they should bring their own quarter of peace. The chiefs should bring their own quarter of peace. Political elites should bring their own, and administrative elite, everybody should bring his own quarter so that we can move ahead. And we should stop this affair of thinking that we are 100% always correct in our own perspective and we can't move a step. So we should be honest, especially those in the diaspora. They should be honest and say the truth. They should not speak because they are in the diaspora and they don't know what the people are feeling in the field, because they cannot know, because they are not there. They may claim they feel what the people go through there, but they don't know because they are not there. They still drink their wine. Mr. Mbaku will confirm that here. We see some of their colleagues swimming in swimming pools, enjoying their life while the people are going through pain. So when they come, they should not come and say the government is this, the government is satanic, the government have not done anything, they are enjoying Yaoundé. As if they are in diaspora, they are not enjoying. They are also enjoying. They are having their jobs, they are earning a living, and they are living fat and fresh. So the things now have to do with part to be played by the two to ensure that they both move forward. And if this is to be done, humility needs to come in by both sides, and we see how we can move ahead. The problem, as I said, is issue of two culture. Let us see how we can harmonize it and move ahead. And if we think we cannot harmonize it, then we should see how we can power each and move ahead. But it is a very complex situation because we have few that we can compare. Some people will compare it with Quebec in Canada, but it's so hard to compare it with Quebec in Canada because Canada is a country that have been in democracy for hundreds of years. We are still young and we are moving ahead. Let's give our own quarter to build for peace to return.
Now, Mr. Fah, now he insists on the fact that when there's a House of Chiefs and the chiefs are empowered, they'll have more power to do something right now. Is it going to work that way? Now that's what the point he insists on, that power should be given to chiefs, and when they have that power, they better represents their people at the local level, because the chiefs, we know that they're always there, they're always present, and sometimes the masses trust them more than the political representatives who come and go. The chiefs are always there.
It's a very good question. Kedia from the CPDM is preaching the gospel of Lucifer. He talks, you think that is an angel that has come from heaven. That is how the people behave. They will come on air, you know it's a peace, no peace, you know we have to preach peace, we have to do this, just for give our share of the peace and that. Where was the peace before? When they destroyed it? When a regime puts in place a bad system of administration that brings in place chaos, that very regime has what it takes, should take as its responsibility to bring back the peace. Don't start dragging people inside. Yaoundé have the knife and the yam. When Kedia sits here on air with his ruling party, the CPDM, and they tell you, please let us preach peace, they are the number one brokers of the peace. They are the first stumbling block of peace in this country. Because for 4 years running, they have been lying. Kedia tells me, you know, the House of Chiefs, at least if they keep them on, just as we are asking the question, they'll be able to do something. Kedia does not even understand the function of the House of Chiefs. Kedia, go back and read the decree governing the functioning of House of Chiefs. You will not be blowing this grammar you are blowing here. If we sit here and tell you that the chiefs have only an opinion and the opinion is based on two things, either on how their house should function or on education. Opinion. A CPDM man here tells me the chiefs can change things based on opinion. Are we fools on this platform? Mr. Kedia, please go back and read the decree signed by President Paul Biya, president of our party, the CPDM, governing the functioning of House of Chiefs and regional elections. You will not blow this grammar here. Because the woman listening to you there in Furawa will think that this is the gospel to this man is talking. And that is how you have deceived Cameroonians all through, why they keep languishing in poverty. It will not work. House of Chiefs has no impact as of now until they empower them as it is supposed, and they cannot be empowered by the people. Because I hear Kedia telling us we should empower. The man that appoints the House of Chiefs should empower the House of Chiefs. What role is Tayong Fah Eugene having to play? How can I empower a House of Chiefs? Did I appoint him? Kedia, go to Yaoundé. Tell Yaoundé that they who appointed the House of Chiefs should empower the House of Chiefs and not make them to give with opinions. Opinions that can be taken by the head of state as well as cannot be taken. And opinions that are limited to two things. So we are now saying here that people should be informed of reality because the lies telling of Yaoundé regime is over. Now, Mr. Luis, we look at the functioning of it. They say House of Chiefs have power, as our brother is saying. They have a say. It means that they are encouraging what we call smoke screen houses. Where people go and sit, exhausted budget, at the end they come out. I have been telling people, if the National Assembly and the Senate itself cannot change things in this country, who are House of Chiefs and regional councillors? Let me ask this question here. Mr. CP, the man, tell me. If all the time, 4 years running, nobody is courageous enough in the Senate to say, if they are not addressing Anglophone crisis, no business here in the Senate. If they are not addressing Anglophone crisis, no business here in the National Assembly. We might try and they chase him and he escaped. There was a time the SDF councillors tried foul. They tried. I should appreciate them. That's the truth. If I did not try, it means I will not be fair to myself. There was a time they stood up, they blew whistles up in the National Assembly. After that, what next? Nothing changed. If these kangaroo houses in Yaoundé cannot change a dime as per se to bring an end to the Anglophone crisis, it's not Kedia here in the studio blowing grammar on let everybody contribute his own quarter of the piece and it will change. Why do we deceive people overnight? When the reality is on the ground and people are dying every day. I said sometime, I told an administrative officer in Boya the other day, who told me that the crisis is almost getting to an end. And I took time to educate the man because it looks like he was daydreaming. I told him that based on my study and as an investigating journalist, I only realized that the conflict is changing, is metamorphosizing. From the time you could see them, the boys come out and shoot at random. Now it is tactical approach. It is more dangerous. And that's what the Americans suffered in Vietnam. We talk about ambush. Today we hear about gas bottles that they detonate using phones. I think they use phones. They could press a phone and a gas bottle would explode somewhere. We saw that in Tarikon, around hospital about some time ago. Boya has recorded about 2 explosions of recent. And the next thing is you start hearing them carrying out ambush and all the like. It means that the system of the fight is changing. And what KJ is not telling Yaoundé is that as you are delaying, those boys in the bushes are becoming more experienced than before. I remember these are guys who could not hold AK. These are guys who could hold 10 guns and rubber guns. And today you hear that they have AK. It means that very soon you hear that they have long-range missiles. It's a possibility. Because as you delay, they become more experienced and they develop other ideas in the bushes that will far become a more threat to the government. So if Kedia is honest here, he should tell Yaoundé that the way they are undermining this thing, they should be careful because it might come to a time that they will not be able to control the way I see things moving here. Now, at the level of the regional elections coming up, as everybody is blowing grammar, regional election. Kedia said, you know, they should believe in the thing and all the like. I want to repeat, anybody who believes on House of Chief to offer a dime for the good of Cameroon is a daydreamer. Anybody who believes that regional election and councillors will come, I say just equate that to National Assembly and Senate. These are well-structured houses in Yaoundé. I repeat, well-structured houses in Yaoundé. The Senate could be some 7 years old, but the National Assembly has been for more than 40 years old. And if 4 years running, no member of parliament, I repeat, no member of parliament can cause President Biya to call for a genuine dialogue, then who are regional councillors? At the end of it, Mr. Luis, let's just be honest as we're ending this, as I'm giving back the microphone to you, that in all honesty, whether Yaoundé likes it or not, they must come to a genuine dialogue table. It's a matter of time. Kedia, go and tell Yaoundé this story I'm telling you people. Because I remember that in Colombia, the FARC rebels fought for over 50 years. Colombian government got tired and called the rebels, the FARC rebels, to table for dialogue. Imagine how many thousands of people had died. A thing that would have been addressed before then. And so, Kedia, as Yaoundé people say they know a lot, go and tell Yaoundé that it's a matter of time, whether they like it or not, they will come to dialogue. And as Barrister Ashu said, our senior barrister said, when they are coming to dialogue, the key actors must be present. Listen, they must be present, if you like it or not. If you go and bring CPDM psycho-fans and CPDM family members in Yaoundé, you are still wasting your time because national dialogue has not yielded any fruit. It's a no event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fah Eugene. Now, Akuroh on the other side. Now, regional elections are enshrined in the Cameroon's Constitution 1999. Now, do you think if these elections would have been held before now, do you think you would have yielded any fruit? Will it have been positive now? Because we criticize the fact that the regional elections, it's certainly empty window dressing now. What if the elections had held before now? Do you think it would have made any difference at the moment?
Yes, Louis, before I get into the crux of your question, let me first of all respond to what Dr. Ngwanyam said. Dr. Ngwanyam noted that, the respect of the ghost towns or the lockdowns is out of here. I want to be very honest here, and I want us to be very factual when we say certain things. We shouldn't just say things because we have the possibility of saying them. Dr. Ngwanyam, you will remember that when the first ghost towns were caught on the 9th of January, 2017, were there Amba boys? Was there anybody carrying any arms anywhere? Do you recall that the ghost towns that you see instituted until today were instituted at that time, and that until November 2017, the people of the Southern Cameroons respected these ghost towns calls from the consortium and other bodies when no one had arms. And I'd like you to know that the Monday ghost town was instituted right from that time, and people accepted it. Because you people continue to be in denial of the fact that the people of the Southern Cameroons are sick and tired of being slaves, you will continue to imagine things and say them. I want you to know, I am the leader of the civil society organizations operating in the Southern Cameroons. They are under the consortium. And I want to let you know how we arrived at decisions to get ghost towns or lockdowns. These decisions are taken in total consultation, in discussion and agreement with the people on the ground. That is why they implement them. You should be able to know this. You will shake your head, you will doubt it because you are not aware of how these things happen. I've just asked you to justify. Right up to November, and that was the end of November 2017, were there Amba boys? There were no Amba boys anywhere. There were no arms anywhere. The people constantly respected the stay-at-home orders. And I want to tell you this. When you look at the result of the survey conducted by Christian Cardinal Toomey, he conducted it at this time, in 2019, when you are saying that, which falls within the period that you are already saying people are forced or people are terrorized or people are frightened. That was an opportunity for the people to say, no, we really don't want what is happening. They didn't say so. The other survey from the CDN was organized in June of 2000 and was organized just about 2 months ago. This 2020, 86% of the people overwhelmingly say we align with these people who give us these orders to stay at home. What does that tell you? I think we should actually avoid sometimes trying to just, throw jabs. And I'm so shocked that Mr. Kedia is, so blindsided as to not even realize that what he is doing on the set there is trying to play, that kind of, that kind of game. Cameroon wants to have some. Yes, I agree with Dr. Ngwanyam that the people of the Northwest are suffering from intimidation. Mr. Kedia, the people of Kumba, as I'm talking to you, are in lockdown. Is Kumba in the Northwest? As I'm talking to you right now, are you aware that last night, breaking this morning at a snack bar in Boya called Las Vegas, that soldiers got into the place, carted everybody there, whether you had ID card or not, beat people mercilessly, even harassed some old people coming away from a wedding. Beat all of them. They were throwing people in trucks at random. And they even harassed a UN official there who was seriously at pains to define who he was before at the end of the day he was delivered. Is that in Bamenda? Are you aware, Mr. Kedia seated there, that even at this moment that you and I are talking, people are in tears in Kupenga Nenguba? That the military has used helicopter gunships to spray bullets on people in Babubok. That as we are talking here with you, around 121 people are reported to have died there. From last night breaking today, you are on the set talking, just talking trash, just talking because at the end of the day, some minister will say, I saw you on that set and call you and give you 10,000 francs, go and take a beer. Don't forget, Mr. Kedia, I was in that country with you. I sat on sets there, live in that country, and spoke with you. I know your type. So I'm not surprised what you are doing. Work your money. Look for your little bread. I'm not sure. That's why I was laughing each time you were talking. So I like us to be very factual. We are talking here about human lives. We are not joking here. When you say the people, the pro-independence leaders abroad are so divided even among themselves, and that is why they will keep fighting and attacking others, each other as an excuse. Look, gentlemen, I have said it several times and I will repeat it. We know that we are up against a system that only thrives on divide and rule. That's why they use people like you. That's why they want you to come and give the impression that this crisis or this conflict is raging on only in the Northwest. There's nothing happening in the Southwest. That's why they bring people like you, lies like you, to come and see and give the impression to the world that this thing, no, there is one part which is not for, there is another one which is against. That is the same way you have been struggling to divide us, so you can use that as an excuse to say, no, you see, we even find it difficult to get people to really talk with. Let me assure you, you said one thing, and I like to take from there, that the government has done its own by holding a national dialogue. Let the pro-independence leaders give their own. The pro-independence leaders have been asking you to come to the negotiation table. It is on the negotiation table that they do give and take. Do you understand that? If you understand what negotiations means, I know you have even been so seriously brainwashed that you will not even understand what this thing stands, what this thing means. Once in a while, reach out. We will freely provide you the kind of education that will make you think independently and critically like a human being, so you avoid really getting so seriously brainwashed. Look at what is happening in Kumba with the incidents at the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy. The Prime Minister, Mr. John Gute, said the proprietors of the school and her husband and the teachers and the administrative staff that were kept under detention were kept there for preventive detention and will be released. Even before the funeral of those children, they were not. The SDO, Mr. Tundong, said they were kept there for preventive to protect them. They will soon release them. They told us at one point that they had killed 2 of the so-called Amber commanders who were involved with the mass killing at the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy. Suddenly, they came in, I think about 2 days ago, and said they had arrested some other person who was connected to it. Yet they turn around and they are now charging teachers and the proprietor and his wife of the school of terrorism. How do you describe that kind of system? How does it factor in? Thieves broke into your house, loot from you, even shoot some of your people in the house, and the administration charges you for that murder. Are you sound? I think you should be ashamed of yourself when your people are dying and you come and sit on media to be saying this kind of things. I think, to be very frank here, what you are not realizing is that even the soldiers who are on the ground carrying out some of these evil acts are getting so seriously exhausted. I'm sure you must have seen a list circulating from the Ministry of Defense of over 200 soldiers that have deserted. I have the privilege to have spoken to a number of them and even given them assistance to desert because they reached out and say, you are out there, do you know how we can live? We are really undergoing serious torture here. There is one in particular who is in Cyprus today as we speak. He reached out to me from Ekondo Titi. He said, Mr. Akuroh, you know what? I left Santa before coming here, and I saw a situation that touched my heart, and I have to escape. I had to struggle to get your telephone number to reach out to you to tell you this. And he told me Mr. Fu Jonathan has a camp, a small place where he has gathered more than 50 little children, young boys, all of them, and locked them inside there, and they send them out to go and commit atrocities so they should say that they are Amber boys, and they work with them. So he said one of the boys, 19 years old, fortunately that young man is in the US now, because we had to work hard to get him out, found his way to escape, and he told this soldier that he was the only son to his mother. His father died when he was 2, and cried and told his mother had been sick for 18 years and he didn't want to die. This soldier told me after he had to assist this young man on to take him to the Kondo Titi, he thought it had reached the tipping point. He had to leave. And he Akuroh, the people who are but if you out with nobody to continue this situation. I said when I look at some of them are 65, 70 years old. Ask themselves, how long are they going to live again? That they want the entire younger generation decimated just for selfish political reasons. I'm sorry I took time off to get these things clear so that people like Kedia should understand it. So let me get back to your questions. Let me get back to your question. So in 30 seconds, I'll be able to respond to your question.
Before you continue with that, we want to say we are not taking sides with
exactly 30 seconds, yes. 30 seconds will do.
Okay.
What I want to say is simple. These elections really, really are a waste of time. Like Tayong Fah has pointed out, the truth is, if the Senate, the National Assembly, cannot, the people, they would have never ever even been able to propose a private member bill and it goes through. What role would moribund structures like regional assemblies have? I simply consider these sinecure positions being created by Mr. Biya to widen the number of his sycophants who will be ready to die for him at any time and keep him there because they too would consider that they are part of the eating game. Thanks, I yield.
All right. Yes, thank you very much, John Akuroh. Just like I was emphasizing here that you have your opinions, but we're not taking sides with the claims, whatever you've said regarding the killings on the ground. We are certainly not in accordance with you. We cannot independently verify those information. So we're not taking sides with those information and what you've claimed so far. But then we give you an opportunity to share with us your opinion. Before I come back to continue back in the studio, we're giving time for our audience, those watching us. You can send in your reactions. We expect your calls. Tell us what you think regarding the upcoming regional elections. Tomorrow is the due day. Let's hear from you. We have a call online. Welcome to the program. Let's hear you. You're live on the program. Pan-African debate. Let's get your opinion, please.
Good afternoon for all your fans. Actually, I want to thank for Afrique Media, and what I want to say again, I want to talk.
Please, can you be a little audible? Let's get your opinion, please.
Like Amber TV. It is in Amber TV that they make propaganda of Ambazonia. Here is Afrique Media, a TV where they speak the truth. So each time that Mr. Akuroh is coming to Afrique Media, let him put his mind that Afrique Media is not a propaganda TV. So when he comes, let him speak the truth. Let him speak the truth. What about the CPDM members who are in the Northwest and Southwest? Are they staying at home because they want, because of the lockdown? No, they are staying if they have to stay at home, it's because they are afraid. It's not because they want. It is not only the people who support Ambazonia who are in Northwest and Southwest. You have all type of people, and all type of people. What are they doing? They are afraid. So when Dr. Nick is talking about people are staying at home because they are afraid, it is the truth. Now I want also to talk about the Anglophone elite. They are in all political parties. What are they doing? When Dr. Nick is saying that Biya is doing what the President Paul Biya is doing what he's supposed to do, but when people that are supposed to do the right thing, they are not doing the right thing, what do you want? What do you want? You are just talking on the CPDM member who are on the platform, but he's not the one.
Okay.
He has his own.
All right. Please, thanks very much for your opinion. Thanks for your opinion. Please always make your reactions very short and straight to the point. We appreciate that. We have another call online, Elvis from Boya. Welcome to the program. Let's hear you.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Your life on Pan-African debate.
Yes, I'm calling from Boya. Yes, the problem of this issue of regional election is just a fiasco. Yeah, when you look for what happened at the national dialogue, it has not been any fruit. And now we are talking of regional dialogue. All of this are fiasco. So, what John Akuroh is saying is the truth. He gives the analysis very well. When you see before this crisis started, there was nothing like Amber. So, when they started killing the Anglophone, that's where they pick up arms. They never had any intention to pick arms. So they push the people to the wall before they pick up arms. You see, since Anglophone, they have been wanting to come back to the federal system, but the Cameroon government, they are not allowing them to come back to their federal system because the centralized system is really is making everything, no development in the northwest, no development in the southwest. So that's why these people are belonging to do their own thing by themselves. But the Cameroon government have decided to centralize things so that they should be controlling everything. And before they know, this country was two. We have the Southern Cameroon and we have the East Cameroon. So these are two people that they came together. Because Anglophone, they were crying for marginalization. So they said, no, we came together as two entities. Let us share the cake equal. But this other side of the Mongo, they want to try to assimilate, want the Anglophone to be in their own culture. That is not fair. And when I hear Francophone, they call and begin to try to support whatsoever, it's not correct. It's life telling. All the things that the Francophone they are all life telling. They need to tell the truth. And even the history of this country, they want to try to cover the history of this country, which they will never work. They should do the right thing, and the right solution will come. So I greet you, December Akuroh, and all the Southern Cameroon.
Okay, thank you very much from Boya. Thanks for your opinion. If you have another caller again online before we come back to continue with our panelists here in the studio, let's have you. If you're there, let's get your opinion. All right, let's get your opinion. Welcome to the program, the Pan-African Debate.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to be very fast. I want to say that one of the problems that we have today in Southwest and the Northwest is that the representation is not the people's representation. Let's just talk about the parliamentary or the councillors. Are you sure these councillors were duly voted by the people? Are they there to represent the people? Do you think the people recognize them? You can answer that for me. And then again, let's go about the chiefs. Let's forget about the Northwest region. The Northwest region, the thing is hereditary there. But let's talk about the chiefs of the Southwest region. There are some chiefs that were imposed by the administration to the people. And these people don't obey them. They don't pay allegiance to these chiefs. And these chiefs, maybe some of them will represent them in the House of Chiefs. That's the problem that we have. They are not the true representatives of the people. So when they are going there, it's like they are just going there on their own. In fact, people don't even know what is happening. There was one guy was asking me yesterday, what's the election all about? I tried to explain to him. It's about who are going to represent, and we don't know them. Very few of the chiefs are the true representatives of the people, because the true chiefs were kept aside and some administration imposed other chiefs on the people. That's what is happening. So, like somebody, the last speaker just said, for us to solve this problem, we begin to tell ourselves the truth. And the worst thing you can do to yourself is when you begin to tell yourself a lie. I can tell you a lie, you can tell me a lie, but I begin to tell myself a lie. That's the worst thing that can ever happen to me. I think the time has come for us to sit down and say the truth. Well, let's leave God to solve the problem, because I think that the thing is more than us. It's only God that can bring a solution to this problem. God bless you. Bye for now.
Thank you for your opinion. Thanks for being there. We appreciate. If you have another caller, let's get the last caller. All right, now back here in the studio, those of you joining us your live on Pan-African Debate on Afrique Media, maybe the last call before we come back here in the studio. Welcome to the program, the Pan-African Debate.
Come back here in the studio. Welcome to the program, the Pan-African Debate. Come back here in the studio. Welcome to the program, the Pan-African Debate.
For the fact that the crisis in these two regions has become a money-making kind of, it's kind of interest, and people are making money out of it. Now, many just want the crisis to continue because they are eating fat from what is happening on the ground, even at the detriment of those who are suffering, and the masses who are suffering. Now, do you think that even if we have to call a federation today, do you think they are still going to be satisfied, because there are people who just want the disorder to continue because they are eating from it? Now, do you see a definite end to the crisis, even if the government has to propose maybe federalism at this point in time?
Thank you, Luis. At this point in time, if the government were to propose federalism, it would be too little, too late. I think Mr. Akuroh cited two surveys that were carried out, one by the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiations and one by some other organization. And the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation, to which I belong, revealed that 86% of the population of Southern Cameroons opted for total independence, to have nothing to do with the Republic of Cameroon. So I think that if any person were to talk about federation, because in that survey, federation, the federalists had, I think, 7%. 7%. So it is surely going to be too little, too late. I think what should happen now is that they should let the people speak. It is not a matter for one person to say, I am giving you this. Let the two countries sit together and batter out the modus vivendi. Let us sit together and decide what form of state we want. You want it, I mean, it should be a popular solution, a popular opinion. Ashu should not say, I want confederation. Or Dr. Nick should not say, I want confederation. Let the people's representatives, who should come from the grassroots, who should not be CPDM people,
all right,
come say, this is what we want.
All right,
because we all know that if it is CPDM, nobody will listen to them, because we know that they are going to sing their master's voice. So, federation at this point in time, it cannot go.
Okay.
It is too little, too late.
All right.
The problem in the field is that everybody wants that the root causes be addressed, and that root cause is that there was some swindling that happened in 1961. There was swindling. I mean, the bad game that happened. Instead of people signing union treaty, they went and enacted their own constitution and put us inside. So now it has been realized. We say, don't give us your own version anymore. We must have our say.
Okay.
Because if you cannot come to terms, then the only thing left will be for the UN to conduct a referendum for the people, then the grassroots, everybody there and those in the diaspora decide what they want.
Senior Barrister, let's have this.
If you don't want that, okay.
Let's have this caller from Bambalang. I'm not cutting you short. Let's have somebody from Bambalang. It's in the Northwest region. Let's get your opinion. Welcome to the program. Let's
Hello,
get
good
your
afternoon.
opinion. Yeah, you're live on the program.
Yeah, what I want to comment on, yes, I want to make a comment concerning what Dr. Nick said about the fear, about the ghost town. The lockdown started when the people received it willfully. But when the government started using some repressive measures to thwart the process, that was where the Amber boys too, they saw that if they don't also apply repressive measures, the government will use force to break down the ghost town. You know all what the government has been doing. On Mondays, they organized shopping like what the city mayor of Bamenda was doing. Those were all efforts to thwart the process. So that is the reason why some level of force must be applied on both sides to counter what the government was doing. But from the inception, the people took it and it became a tradition, so that every Monday people knew what they were going to do on that day and adjusted their program. Secondly, about the election, the people should understand that, the government should understand that the boys in the bush who are really fighting the government today, they have nothing to do with decentralization or whatsoever. It is only when they come to a compromise that their leaders can tell them to drop their guns and they will listen to them. What has the man in the bush got to do with decentralization? All what they are doing, whether the development or no development, they don't have anything to do with it. Their problem is the stand that they have taken and they hear from their leader. And it is only when the government will come to a compromise with their leaders that their leaders will tell them to drop their gun. You cannot tell somebody who is not under your control to drop his gun and you think that he will accept. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your opinion. We very much appreciate, and thanks for being there. And we're coming back here in the studio, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, at this point in time tomorrow. The Pioneer Regional Council elections are taking place tomorrow. Now, many have been clamoring, just like you say, that this might not be a solution to the long-standing crisis, the Anglophone crisis of 4 years now and counting. Yet, the people on the ground who are going through difficulty, those who have died, those who have been displaced as a result of the crisis, want a name to the crisis now. What do you think could be done at this point in time? The election, just like the presidential election, which was largely boycotted, went through successfully, and tomorrow we still know that the elections will still go on successfully. Now, should we keep on singing the same song? Why? What do you think can be done?
Well, what I can say is that the elections will go on successfully, hitch-free, because we have seen bigger elections, so to speak, elections that were supposed to be all over the whole place. And there was insecurity, and they still held somehow. So these ones, is even the electoral college is even restricted, and they will just do it there, so it's no big deal. So the elections would take place. And whatever results come out, that's what we will have. But again, it's an exercise. And what I like to say is that for the Northwest and Southwest region, when we would have the proper dialogue, most of what is happening now will be revised in those territories. It will be revised. It's very important that we have some peace in the country, and the peace in the country will start by having a new government, because it makes sense that after the presidential elections, council and parliamentary elections, and then these ones now, we need a new government, a new set of people who can think out of the box and bring solutions to these problems, because, like you said, a problem is never solved at the level at which it was created.
Now, when you talk about a new set of people now, do you mean politically?
Yes, we need, because we have, listen, the problems in Cameroon have been caused 80% by elites.
But many believe that the problem is beyond political. It's not political. Politics cannot solve it.
No, probably I guess you are saying it is actually politics done the right way that will solve it. Okay, but what you are saying is the problem cannot be solved by guns, because we already agree that if you kill all Anglophones, it's not the solution. Killing people is not the solution. So we need to solve these problems, and we need people who number one are God-fearing, who love other human beings, and who tell the truth. We need to sit at the table and face the facts, because, like I said, a lot of people are being controlled by their stomachs. And what is going on now is that the war economy has set in, and you have the dogs of war phenomenon that is in there. You have people who have gone in, who are racketeering, and then money is flowing in somehow, and people, it's a form of commerce, and people would not like that to stop. And even the people up, other gun carrying people, they are kidnapping people and making a lot of money they have never had. So things are just gone out of the window. We need to stop that madness. And the country has a lot of problems now, and there's no need to be delaying and creating more problems. In the north there are still problems. In the east there are other problems. Again, here in the littoral center, west region, there are problems everywhere, especially youth problems. Youth don't have jobs. And we need to We need to sort out the political issues so that there's some sense of peace, so that we can actually begin to fight the economic war, because we have another war. Is the economic war, and it is that economic war, or the lack of opportunity, the lack of money in people's pockets, that is making this political thing really go again in circles. So we need to correct this political thing very quickly and put in place, mechanisms for creating wealth in the country, especially in the youth, for the youths. We need to see that we create jobs for people. We grow our own rice. We grow our own fish. We do our own things. We build our own roads. All these kind of things. We need to do something, because up until now, we are just telling stories and just going around and nothing is being done. And we need to address this thing. It's very important.
All right, now you're proposing that should happen in one Cameroon, the United Republic, just like...
You see, if somebody tells you that this Cameroon as we have it, you see, when President Paul Biya says that Cameroon is one and indivisible, that statement is correct, okay? And if you listen to the Americans, you listen to the UN, you listen to other people, who are supposed to back you if you must separate, the people are saying the country is one and indivisible. But the difficulty with the one and indivisible is that statement is understood by different people differently. When the Americans and others and UN are saying Cameroon is one and indivisible, all they are saying is that separation is out of the question. But one and indivisible doesn't mean that confederation and federation are not part of the cake. But when you ask Kedia and his other friends, who are very central thing, they will tell you that federation, if you consider federation or confederation, it means Cameroon is divisible. No, they are trying to play some tricks on people who are not going to school. And it's this kind of thing that we do like that causes a lot of problems. Because if we had gone to that dialogue and put things on the table, okay, Cameroon is one and indivisible, fine. So what are the other options? There's centralization, there's federation and confederation. Let's talk about this. Probably would have advanced. But they tell you, if you're going to talk about federation or confederation, it means that you are saying Cameroon is divisible, therefore you are against Paul Biya, which is wrong. You see, they frighten people with concepts like that, and that the only thing which makes Cameroon indivisible is decentralization is wrong. And when Americans and other things, they will say, yes, Cameroon should decentralize. By that word decentralization, it just means go in that thing called Cameroon with a knife and kind of like see how you can partition the cake. Okay. And so federation or confederation is a decentralization as far as the American understands it. But when you use decentralization in Cameroon, with these elites who don't like to face the truth, they will tell you that it can only be decentralized into 10. It's not true. Okay.
Robert Kedia, you've been listening to all the different arguments now. Tomorrow is a due day.
Yes, before I come to talk about the beautiful D-Day that will bring effective decentralization.
Now, how beautiful do you describe that day of tomorrow?
I'll answer you. Mr. Mbaku was talking about shame or somebody coming to talk on TV so that a minister should send money or something like that. It's so embarrassing. I want to ask Mr. Mbaku, were you people not the one that went to Swiss and you were asking for 5,000 euros? That should be given to you people before you can talk about bringing peace back in Cameroon. Was it not one of you that hold the bag that was going to sell oil that is found in former British Southern Cameroon, as you people call it? A suitcase.
No, we
saw the video. Going to sell? Charlie, please, I'm coming to that. Most of you, your wardrobe and the whatsoever contribution that people have made, have you people not chopped the money? You send children with sticks to go and face the military. And when they fall, you come, you see, people send them this. When you send those children, what are you expecting to happen? When you send those children, what are people expecting to happen? So please, when you send children and you inflame children to go and things happen, don't come and play the saint role here, because you are not the saint. And if you are talking about people that want money, many of you people out there, you want money. Many of you people are looking for this negotiation so that they should call people, sit on the table with you people because you want posts. So we should not be hypocritical here, even though when we talk, we don't go into the extent to say certain things. But we know that. So when you are coming on TV to say certain things, know that that's what you are looking for. But don't assume that that's what another person is looking for. That's been okay. Coming back to what you were asking and being honest, the election that is coming out tomorrow will take place. And I say it in the Northwest and Southwest region. I call it now Northwest and Southwest region because it is the present name. It has been having names. We have had West Cameroon. They have had series of names. German Cameroon. So you call your own perspective that concerns you. But I call the one now that I know presently. So you have your opinion. The election will take place. The House of Chiefs, they are there. I still repeat it and I say it again. This crisis has been going on. If you say chiefs have no influence, you are telling a lie. Secondly, if you think the House of Chiefs will have no influence, you are still telling a lie.
Now,
but for me to conclude to say this...
Now, Keja, when you emphasize on influence, now what influence are you talking about here? Because obviously, you've been talking so much about the influence. How different would the influence be?
Because many people fail to understand that President Paul Biya is the fun of fun. He's still a chief and he knows what is going on. But what I'm saying is that the chiefs remain one of the senior people. Like we'll talk about political elites, like we'll talk about political elite, economic elite, we'll talk about men of God. The chiefs, they will have their role to play in the society and they have been playing their role. But for me to conclude, I still say that the election will go on very well and effective decentralization will take place. Everybody has this right to his own opinion, but everybody is welcome to support the process to go ahead so that peace can return. To those in the diaspora, if all soldiers present in the northwest and southwest region are out, and you people there in Europe, you appear there, like in Moyoka, you will see what the people will do to you people. As you claim to think that you are loved by the people, and you say somebody is from the CPDM, the person is not loved, somebody is a chief, you say the chief is mistreated, you discredit everybody. If some of you have the courage to come here, you should come and know what people feel, and when people talk, you should know what they go through. So you don't sit in the diaspora, you talk the way you want to talk, and you think that you are right. How can you be in America and you tell me what is happening in Boya, where I go there all the time, where I'm there all the time? What can you tell me about it? People come, you preach, you make people to believe that you are in Europe, but you are in Cameroon, and you tell people like you know everything that happened. We should be honest here. However, I will still conclude to say, all of us, we should be builders of peace. We should give our own quota of peace, because I still believe that, especially us in Cameroon, not those in the diaspora. Everybody here is talking because everybody wants peace. We may not be happy with certain things, but we'll give our own opinion. Being Mr. Fah may not be happy, but what is important is that he loves one and indivisible Cameroon. Same with Barrister and same with Doctor. It's so clear that all of them, they love one Cameroon, but they are not happy with the way things have been moved, because most of them, they are leaders of political parties, they own political parties, and they have position in their political parties that their party is there for one Cameroon and they are looking for position. So that is very, very clear. They love Cameroon. So everybody is free to come into the boat and you give your own opinion and contribute with the building. You see, Mr. Luis, it is in our national team that up the hills and valley, our parents toyed the Achilles road, and it went further to say, what have you done to pay thy due? Everybody needs to come in to pay thy due for us to build this beautiful country. And that is the way forward. As far as you don't know that you need to come and pay your due, support for it to go up, fine. So we conclude by saying that those in the bushes, please, these guys in the diaspora, they are deceiving you people. Where are the Ivor? Where are the rest? They are deceiving you people. They are fine with their wives and their children, and in the night they enjoy all over the night, and you people are in the bushes suffering. So please drop your arms. Let us move ahead and see how we will solve this problem by the continuous dialogue that will always be, so that we can bring back peace. If somebody is telling you to pick, I'm sorry, that person is deceiving you. We have differentiation in ideology, maybe because of our colonial differences. Yes, we will debate it, we will keep on fighting, and amelioration will keep on taking place, and changes will keep on occurring. But violence is not the way forward. If they love violence, they should come to Cameroon and assist you in the forest. Most people that fought for the independence of their country, they didn't do that abroad. They didn't do that through Facebook. They did it in the terrain. If they can come in the terrain, it shows that they have balls. But if they can't come, they don't have balls, and they are fooling you to go there and be killed.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kidia. Mr. Fah Eugene, after tomorrow's exercise, the two regions must have gone one step ahead in the direction of resolving the crisis in these two English-speaking regions. Even without being boycotted or not, the elections will go on. Now, after tomorrow's exercise, we must have moved forward. Now, what else do you think should be done after tomorrow?
Well, I got my good friend ranting here. and ranting, sounding like a high clanking cymbal. Well, that is what the regime does to send those kind of people to make noise day in, day out. But it's good. He's my good friend. But you see, there's a question that was asked before I come back to what will happen after tomorrow. We were wanting to find out the exact influence of the chiefs, as he says. He did not answer it. I only saw him rigmaroling around. Because when we say that the election, they have no influence, and no influence is going to come after the regional election, my brother is only blowing trumpet in the air. Let the hot air be blown in the air, no trouble. The election, he said quite right. The elections must hold tomorrow. That's for sure. It's a one-man election. Northwest are not competing with anybody. Southwest, they are not competing with anybody because we have satellite parties that have been placed there to present as if there are parties competing. It's a one-man show. I would have loved to tell this my young man in the studio to have told CPDM that they would have just declared the names of the councillors and already victory for future. Because all what they are doing like that, we know those things as a camouflage of no portfolio. Now, it is true. Some will be in armor cars, some will be caged somewhere, military will be everywhere. Yes, we are now in a military state, that I know. In the name of civilian state, it's a military state. But if you ask me what comes after that tomorrow, Mr. Lewis, after Sunday, activities will return to normalcy with the sufferings of Cameroonians. Anybody who tells you that the regional council and the House of Chiefs will better your life is a lie. A fat lie. If anybody tells you that because I am a regional councillor, because I am a regional chief in Lebialem or in Dian or in Manu, I will be wrote, I will do this, it's a fat lie because they are only giving opinions. There's nothing they can do to change the actual situation on the ground. Even for peace, they cannot even. For peace, they don't even have what it takes to institute peace because who are those vying in? Mr. Lewis, this is what people are forgetting to understand. The councillors, through their central committee, were handpicked because most of those that were handpicked must be those who dance to the tune of the elites in Yaoundé. They don't represent the people. That's why I don't even know them. I don't even know who are they as I'm speaking. If you ask me, go to Boya and tell me councillors, and I only got to know about the chiefs when their files were taken by the SDO and then the Kaifa went to the administrative court in Boya. That's only when I knew that these chiefs were the ones involved. The majority who are voting, I don't even know. I'm a journalist, can you imagine? A media man does not know. This is terrible. I don't know whether it is now in Tangi House, whether it has become now a kind of nyongo that they hide and they're doing, people don't even know who they are. This is the kind of democracy Mr. Keja Robert, as if it's the nyongo house they are running for tomorrow, is proclaiming here. This is sacrilege. And to spell it that after tomorrow or after the D-Day, what will happen? I keep on saying that the guys are working their money. Yaoundé has disbursed money to the chiefs. Money has already gotten to them. They are enjoying and feeling fat. They will get the names tomorrow because I will surprise if I hear them celebrating. What are you celebrating?
All right.
An election result is known before time. You say you are celebrating that you have won regional election.
Okay.
They know their results already before time.
Right.
And so after tomorrow, Mr. Luis, what will be happening with these chiefs is that they will only be sitting there and waiting for what will be their problem. How much will be allocated for us as chiefs and councillors? Because there's no clear how much will be allocated. And so they are now dancing the women caprices of the Yaoundé regime. When there is any package, they take and start calculating how to build their houses, buy their vehicles. That is all. It's barely politics.
All right.
These people don't really represent the people in real terms, and at the end, after this, they will continue chopping the money and they're sucking the country dry in the name of democracy.
Okay.
The election tomorrow, I'm sorry, I for one will not respect any person in the name of chief in that house or regional councillor. For me, it's no news. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fivis. Now, let's get your last opinion, last word from you, John Ba Akuroh. Just 30 seconds. Now, the separatists have been calling for lockdown ahead of tomorrow's exercise. Now, there have been several lockdowns. Now, just in 30 seconds, how successful has it been yielding fruits, these several lockdowns which you've been calling? It's, of course, little difficulty it's posing on the people who are on the ground now. Has there been any success recorded, if any? Now, tell us so far, the several lockdowns, how fruitful has it been? 30 seconds, please.
Getting back to me, but when you tell me 30 seconds, when you give concluding remarks to others without giving them even time frame, I'm already getting very worried because you made me nervous and you already make it difficult for me to present an argument. But what I will say very quickly is that, yeah, those lockdowns definitely have their effects because the lockdowns are simply meant to send a message, and they are meant to let the world understand that La République du Cameroon constantly tells lies when they try to give the impression that everything is over. Our people don't want to have anything to do with La République, and that is clear. Arm of the civil society, we have never, ever favored arms. And we have seen our voices drowned by those who favor arms because of the brutality, the continuous refusal by La République du Cameroon to get to the negotiation table and get into the crux of the matter. When people sit down and quote the British government or the US government as saying that they recognize the results of the 1961 referendum, they are tacitly joining the British government to recognize that these are two separate entities that came together. If the British government were saying that they recognize that we have always been one country and there is no reason talking about separation, I would have understood that differently. So when they say they recognize the results of the referendum of 1961, they are tacitly recognizing that we have a right to any other referendum anytime we want, because in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the people of Scotland have had a number of opportunities to go to the poll to determine whether they want to stay within the UK or not. With respect to Canada, the people of Quebec have done that a number of times. With respect to even the United States of America, the people of California have stood up and said, they want to have a referendum. The government didn't say no. The government said, if you are able to gather signatures enough to require a referendum, you will have it. There is divorce because they recognize that if you get married to someone and tomorrow you think that is working, you have a right to, redress it. So I want to tell those who keep thinking that because the British said they recognize the result of the 1961 referendum is a death penalty, it's a recognition of the fact that we have the right to seek another chance to have another referendum if we want. Although we don't even need it, but it is a clear indication that we are separate people who came together through peaceful means and that we are still free to make recourse to those means to be able to go away if we are not satisfied. When a gentleman who is built up in Crookrick comes to the set and say, we went to Switzerland and we're asking for money, I want to let him know, if the people of the Southern Cameroons want money from the Paul Biya government so that we continue to stay under them as slaves, they would give us that money a long time ago. Long before now, they would have dished out that money to us. And when he is talking about people, not having balls to talk, I want to remind Mr. Keja, I know Mr. Keja is young, too young, he might not even have been able to express himself when I was sitting in Cameroon on various sets, sitting with those members of government, sitting with those elite and telling them to their faces that things were not working. Yes, Mr. Kedia, I have balls. I was sitting there and telling them. But do you know why I escaped? Because I needed to live again to face this and to continue saying it. What I want to let you know is that when you see Honorable Wiba abroad today, it is not because he doesn't have balls. He told them in their parliament, something you cannot do. But when he needed to be alive to continue, he decided to move. I want to let you understand that when you say people are swimming in pools, you go pick pictures of 2010, 2013 to come and make fallacies. The fact that there is war doesn't mean that even those soldiers who are fighting at the war front don't go and swim. They do swim. But the fact that they swim doesn't mean that, problems have ended. I like to let everyone understand here, those elections have no bearing in the Southern Cameroons, or call them those appointments. They didn't even have to create an opportunity to kill many more people in the name of elections. The CPDM has never organized elections. They have organized elections or appointments. And the people that they appointed on the 9th of February in the name of parliamentarians, mayors, and whatsoever, where are they working? Are they not all living in Yaoundé and only coming occasionally in armored cars to turn around and, siphon money in the name of taking up those positions? I want us to know this. The people of the Southern Cameroons are in control of their territory. The civilians in the Southern Cameroons who have never wanted war, who have never asked for war, continue to do what civilians do when they are not happy. They decide to strike in one way or the other. And in our case, they are observing ghost towns. I'll just read an article from the Washington Post that says, in Cameroon, they are now saying Cameroon as a whole, there are just 4 working days a week. Because even internationally, it is recognized that the people of the Southern Cameroons have set aside one day to show the world always their discontents, their unhappiness, and to make the world know that anytime anyone from La République du Cameroun tells them that everything is over, they should know that it is a lie. Okay. The government of La République du Cameroun is no longer believed. They don't believe, not even their international partners believe in them anymore. Yeah. So that because selection has been dismissed already internationally.
All right. John Akuroh, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel, tomorrow will definitely come and pass. Shall we still remain on the same spot? The elections will definitely happen tomorrow, even though it's been boycotted by the main opposition parties in these two regions. But tomorrow, we're still going to see it happen. Now, does it mean we've moved a step forward with the presence of regional councillors in these two regions?
Yeah, thank you, sir. You see, we have to be true to ourselves. We all know that, like some caller indicated, most of the chiefs who will be running for election are hiding in Yaoundé. We all know that.
So what happens then?
We all know that the Minister of Territorial Mission received them in a meeting, and we all saw them. You see, we know. The phone officer, we have the images that are being sent, that the phone officer is now going back home inside armored car. Inside armored car with 4 armored cars. So we know that the people who are going to be running are not representative of the people. We know that. Now look at, what is the population of Southern Cameroons? How many councillors are there? About 1,000 councillors for 3 million people. That's, I mean, what representation is that? It doesn't mean anything. You see, there's something to. There's also a question of dynamics. You have political dynamics and you have physical dynamics in the field. Somebody talked here of the people not adhering to ghost towns, and that it is because of fear that the people are forced to be obeying. Now, I think we have to look at that also and say that truly, I had asked this question sometime. If the people don't like the Amber, why is it that the surveys are showing that the people are supporting what the Amber people want? Why? Why are the people not indicating? Because the Amber people, the population has never indicated. I mean, they don't reveal the positions of the Amber camp so that the military finishes them. Why?
Because, of course, they're scared.
Because? No, scared how?
Those that showed it were
oh, my brother.
the girl Moroka, all of them, those that showed the military were killed.
Please, 4 years running. If the population was not with the Amber fighters, I am telling you that they would have indicated to the military the Amber position so that we don't talk about it. The government should understand that this thing is a political problem that has the adherence of the people, and solve it politically. Because if you don't call the people to the table, you don't call the people's representative to the table, you will not get to the source of the problem. Because so long as the people have it inside their stomach, they will continue supporting their fighters, and you will continue wasting people time there, sending soldiers who meet their demise, and the problem will continue. So this council thing is a farce, because it is one thing to elect the councillors, it's another thing for these councillors to effect the change in the ground. What change do you think a councillor who is hiding in Yaoundé will effect in Bamuso? And in Akwaya, where he has no access? In Lebialem, where he has no access? What change? So it is not, it is not feasible. Okay. We should ask the government to do what is feasible, to do the correct thing, instead of trying to fool people with this type of window dressing.
All right, Senior Barrister Ashu, thank you. Let me end with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, just in maybe 30 seconds, a brief summary and a way forward. What should we do at this point in time after tomorrow? Regional councillors will be elected, and we must have moved a step forward.
It's just unfortunate that we have run out of time. We have just barely a few seconds to go. Because I wanted to expound on something that I've been trying to say on some media, to say that what we are going to have is just another exercise. But the problem that Cameroon and many other African states are going through is that we got political independence, but we don't have economic independence. And we don't have, we don't understand problems, we don't know how to solve problems, and we cannot create wealth. And because we don't have these things, even in Cameroon, you like to change the CPD and put MRC or put CPDM or SDF or put Cabral Libi, nothing will change because all these people are one, and we are functioning at this level of things when things are happening up here. So the Chinese will still come and colonize us. So we are playing the wrong game here. Put as many councillors as you want, do whatever you want, nothing will change because our mindsets don't solve our problems.
Okay. So it's a general problem and a problem of mindset.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thanks for being there today on the program. Those of you who took out time to watch us, I want to thank you very much for your different opinions. This day on the Pan-African debate, we're discussing on Cameroon and the regional election scheduled for tomorrow, December the 6th. We shall come back here to evaluate the outcome of the election so far. Thanks for being there again. Thanks to those of you who called, those of you who sending your reactions or you comment on Facebook. We very much appreciate it as well. Until then, stay tuned for more programs like yours right ahead on Afrique Media. Rebroadcast Monday, 3 p.m. Central African Time, 15 hours West African Time.